What's up, Buffoons? I'm Brandon Shepner. You can follow me at Buffoon Brandon. You can follow the pod at Buffoon Brandon Banter. I had the privilege of talking to Tristan Rader for this episode. You can follow him at TWRADER. He is the 13th District of Ohio representative, which is the west side of Cleveland and Lakewood. So he's my representative. I used to live in Lakewood, but I'm still here on the west side of Cleveland near Edgewater. And I had a great conversation with Tristan. We talked about life. We talked about politics. We talked about comedy. I proposed a couple ideas to him, which he seemed open to, which I'm excited about to see if maybe something there had some legs. He almost introduced a bill that I actually wrote a stand-up joke because it was a similar bill to what was actually introduced down in Mississippi back in January. And it was funny because I did the joke at an open mic, and then a few weeks later I saw Tristan had proposed the same bill that my joke was about, which was fun. So I did share that joke here in the middle of the episode. Just so you know, it was I did the joke on January 30th, 2025, so it's been a while since I've done the joke. I did it at a mic last night and kind of fumbled my way through it because I hadn't done it for like 6 months. But so it's still not a fully polished joke. If you ever see me do stand-up, you may hear me do that joke again. I hope that's all right. It better be all right. Anyway, I had a great conversation with Tristan. I hope you enjoy listening. Please, if there are certain parts of the episode that you like that are engaging, let me know. Just send me the timestamp if you want. I'm looking to clip things. But also, if you want to do me a favor and go a step even further, use the Pocket Casts app, which is my favorite podcast app. Not a paid sponsor, but I just like it. They have a feature where you can make your own audio clips right in the app, and it's super quick, super easy. So if you want to make a clip, 2 minutes or less, and send it to me, if you do that, I appreciate you sending the timestamp too, just so I can look it up in the actual episode. That'd be helpful. But yeah, I appreciate it. And without further ado, please enjoy this conversation as much as I did with Tristan Rader.
Sure, whatever you want to talk about. I am cool. I am down. Awesome. I am down. Oh, I hear everything now. Oh, you go boy. You go boy. All right. Just check. Oh, I can hear it. Good.
Yeah, check. My audio sounds good. Go ahead and do your whatever your voice will be like too when you get a second, and I'll maybe adjust.
All right. This is Tristan Rader. We are here for, what's the name of the podcast?
Buffoon Brandon Banter.
Buffoon Brandon Banter. Pop. All right.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you perft.
Cool. We're live. Are we on the YouTube? That's what I saw.
Yep. So it got video going, got audio.
Nice.
So let's go ahead and get started. I'm welcome everyone. I'm Brandon Shepner, Buffoon Brandon on Instagram, Buffoon Brandon Banter on Instagram for the pod. I'm here with Tristan Rader. And do you want to plug your social at the top, and then we can plug it at the back?
Sure. I'm all things TW Rader, TWRADER. So look me up on Instagram, on the TikTok, on the Twitter, on the wherever you want to find me.
Nice. And how about you share who you are? I know you're a Ohio House representative, right?
Yep.
So tell me more about that, I guess.
Well, thanks for having me. I am a state representative for the 13th District, which is the cities of Lakewood and Cleveland, the west side of Cleveland. Cleveland, we're sitting here on Baltic Avenue on the west side of Cleveland, near West Side. So been doing that now for the last 8-9 months. So relatively new to the legislature. Was elected in November 2024. And before that, I served on Lakewood City Council and backgrounds in renewable energy and social services.
Oh, cool. So what did you before you were like city council and stuff? Like when you were like the you said renewable energies and
Yep.
stuff. Like what was were you working like private sector and stuff for a while?
Yeah, no, I work for a nonprofit called Solar United Neighbors. We did a lot of advocacy and rooftop solar program work. So we help folks put solar on their roofs. In fact, a lot of solar in your neighborhood. There's
Oh,
just a couple of arrays on the way over here that we helped put on roof. And our whole mission was to make sure solar is accessible to everybody, not just the people who could historically afford it, because it's been kind of a niche, expensive luxury item. But trying to make sure that it's a tool that people can use to reduce their energy costs across the board. And the state legislature is part of my goal and reason for being there is to advocate for environment and for distributed energy broadly so that folks can actually seize the means of their own electricity production.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's a good thing for everybody too, because like if we have better renewable resources and lower energy costs, then we're not as beholden to the big energy producers and stuff, and we're helping the environment, and it's kind
Exactly
of
right.
should be a win-win.
Yep.
Well, cool.
Exactly right.
So what's like how involved are you with the solar stuff still? Is it
Yeah, I have a small consultancy that I started once I got into the legislature because I knew I wouldn't have a lot of time to really deal with the full-time jobs of program management statewide because I was a state director back before I took my seat on in the legislature.
mhm.
So I am helping. I'm trying to help some projects, actually not in Ohio right now, move forward. And it's tough right now because of what's going on at the federal level with all of the incentives going away here shortly for rooftop solar, for big solar projects, for any type of renewable energy.
Yeah.
The Biden administration did a good job of supporting these things and really trying to jumpstart that industry. My whole shtick is doesn't really require subsidies on a large scale to do renewable energy development anymore. However, the subsidies can help scale quickly, and it can also help to target demographics that have been historically left behind. So, Black, brown communities, lower income communities, they still need those subsidies in order to participate in the clean energy revolution that's happening, and it's going to happen anyway.
Right. Yeah. And to me, it feels like there's pushback from the energy sector because they want to maintain their control
Yeah.
and power and stuff like that, and it's a whole can of worms. I'm sure we could unpack if we wanted to, but that's awesome that you're helping out with that stuff because I'm a big proponent of that. I had a senior project at Kent State where we actually got to. It started as a class project, and then it kind of became a like where we were in groups and stuff. But then we kind of combined efforts to be one big class project to make a renewable energy campus, basically.
Ah, I love that.
And so we were able to pitch the idea to President Lester Lefton at the time, and it didn't turn into anything. And overall, I left a little bit disappointed in the outcome, but the project itself was really cool, and I was kind of the project manager of it, and so it was like I learned a lot, and I feel like that was a big reason I got my first job, like engineering job, was
Yeah, neat.
having that project to talk about. But it was cool because we were talking about one of the things was biodiesel, like from like all the fryers and stuff, like from food services and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Not that that would provide fuel for the whole fleet, but it could be something,
Yeah.
something used. And then solar tracking panels that would, follow the movement of the sun and stuff like that. But the main thing that I was really interested in was the solar roadways and sidewalks, which this was back in 2012. So I'm sure as long as they've been, still working on that project, they're still developing it, I hope. But it was a company, I believe, in New Mexico. But they're developing these like octagon shaped. Have you seen
Like
them?
tiles. Yeah.
Yeah, like they pop in and they have like glass, like super industrial strength glass, so cars can drive on it. But they have pressure sensors. They have embedded LED lights and solar panels under it, and it was just a really cool concept because just the potential for that is you potentially you could bury like electric lines rather than having poles, so they're going to be more protected from weather and stuff like that. You're going to have pressure sensors, so if there's an animal or a stopped car or something ahead of time, it can alert drivers with a message on the LED lights and stuff ahead of time. Could have heating elements, so like
Yeah.
ice and snow is not going to build up. And it just and if like you have a damaged panel, they're shaped like octagons, so you just pop the bad one out and pop the
Yeah.
new one in. So of course there's a big upfront cost on this. Like I'm not trying to say that let's just do it like everywhere because it makes sense, but I mean it seems like a really promising technology.
Yeah, I
And
think especially in dense urban areas where you don't have a lot of rooftop. So, Lakewood, my district is the most dense district in the whole state, which is kind of exciting. Lakewood is the densest city between New York and Chicago, right? So there's more people
oh
live per
really?
square foot in Lakewood than anywhere else in the state of Ohio, even the states around us.
Wow.
So you don't have a lot of opportunity to like put up big solar arrays. So if the city wanted to power all of its infrastructure, when I was on city council, we helped put solar on all the city buildings, but that's only a portion for those buildings need. If you want to power the Gold Coast, you can cover every single apartment building with solar. It's not going to be enough, right?
Yeah.
So you need to start looking at other opportunities. So I think it is cost prohibitive right now, and that's what I hear a lot too from people who, can I get a solar roof that looks like a normal roof? I see the solar Tesla has a solar roof product, and DuPont has a solar roof product they spun off. They're just cost prohibitive right now, but we need to keep investing in those technologies because eventually they'll come down in price as we
Yeah.
see them scale. And
Yeah.
usually scale has a lot to do with the ability to reach that sweet spot where you're actually getting good return on investment.
Yeah, that's 100%. Like that's been my biggest complaint or like frustration, I guess, when people argue, oh well, it just doesn't make sense. Like electric cars, like they can only go 200 miles, 300 miles, or whatever. Like it's stupid. It's not like I understand that that's where the technology is now,
Yeah,
but we have to keep building on it. We have to keep
yeah,
making it better. We have to keep making charging stations more readily available, because that that is the future technology. And it's frustrating to see so many, like especially like the Republicans, like wanting to go back and like open up more coal mines and fossil
yeah,
fuels and relying on that. And I worked as a combustion engineer for 11 years, so I was working with natural gas. So I'm aware that fossil fuels aren't really necessarily going away, but to reduce those uh, is important. Like we're relying on something that's finite right now,
yes.
and it just doesn't make sense to just keep doing that whenever it's in everybody else's best interest, except for the energy producers. That's the only ones that are going to
Right.
get hurt by renewable energy.
And only, I mean, the only reason it's really short term gain for long term pain, right?
Yeah,
And that's to me the biggest economic argument against your fossil fuels, really. And for me, it's an environmental argument as above all. Our planet's on fire, or we need to figure out a way to reduce carbon emissions. Full stop.
yeah,
But looking at it through an economic lens, we're going to run out in our lifetime at this pace, natural gas and oil.
yeah,
Period. We just will. I mean,
yeah,
that's a fact. Nobody disputes that fact. Nobody wants to talk about that fact. We will not run out of coal. That'll be around for the next. There's so much coal, which is sad because I think what's going to happen is a transition from natural gas back to coal if we're not careful.
hmm,
And I know that's like crazy to even think about the fact that we're going to return to coal mining as a primary means of powering society, as dirty as that is.
and
But I see that happening if we're not going to embrace uh, these newer technologies that are just so much better at producing energy at the end of the day.
yeah, yeah, and it sucks that it comes back to the money thing because there are communities like West Virginia and Southeast Ohio, like where I grew up, where coal mining is. That was what a person's that's what their income was. It's how they made a living and stuff. And so the opportunities aren't necessarily great,
No.
for other things there. And that's part of my frustration with the whole like how everything is built is like so many people get left behind. And I feel like why that's why Republicans are able to kind of relate to people that are underserved and underprivileged like that because the Republicans are speaking to the anger,
Yeah.
and it's misguided, it's misdirected, but like they feel like I say this because I grew up down there, and I feel like I recognize and I understand that there just isn't a whole lot of opportunity down there, and it can feel like you're uncared for and you're on your own and you're angry, and so who are you gonna be angry at? And I don't know. I feel like it's been skewed. Perception has been skewed, I guess, by Republicans just trying to get people riled up and directing their anger at minority groups that don't deserve it, and just making others out of other people to humanize them. And
Yeah, there's this tried and true methodology for accumulating power and keeping this sort of capitalistic idea moving forward, and that's you pit the poor against the poorer, right?
yeah,
And sometimes that means pitting the white against the black. Sometimes that means just pitting different, people from different places in the world who come pit the Irish against the Germans, whatever it is, whoever
Sure.
that immigrant group that's coming, just immigrants generally, but immigrants against everybody. So you divide, you're able to cause fights, and you get people distracted about what the real problem is, and that's the top 1% of this country owning the vast majority of the wealth, right?
yeah. It's the billionaires, like
right.
full stop. Like and I mean, it's not just them, but I mean, their billionaires shouldn't exist. Like Bernie Sanders proposed a bill that would cap all income at 999 million. Anything after that would just go to taxes and stuff. It's like, yeah, sure, why not? Like
who needs that? And honestly, like maybe I differ a little bit. I don't care how much money anybody has if everybody else's needs are 100% taken care of.
Yeah.
And you cannot tell me that in this country or anywhere around the world that everybody's needs are met. And until that's the case, yeah, I agree. There should be a much better system in place that's going to actually take care of folks where they're at. And part of that is producing and providing an economy that when you work 40 hours a week, you actually can earn not just a living, but a comfortable living, a car in the garage, as they'd say, or some form of transportation. You can put your kids through school and not have to worry going through 2-3 vacations a year, and you have enough money for retirement. And that's just not the case in this country anymore.
Right. And at the same time, like, I don't feel like everyone should have to work 40 hours a week just to survive, just to live. Like, it shouldn't be a privilege to be alive and live. You know what I mean? Like, I understand you have to be able to provide something, but like, there's a huge gap between what's offered for support and what, like, the minimum wage not being raised for who knows how long. Like,
right.
It was $5.15 when I was in high school, and it's up to $7.25. Almost 20 years later. Yeah.
We got it because 20 plus years. This is my 20th. Supposed to have my 20th reunion this year from high school. So I often think back, like my first job, I made $8 an hour, and I got a raise to $8.05. And I was a part of a union. I was worked at Heinen's, and I had a good job. That was a great job back then.
Mm-hmm.
And now the pay isn't a lot better at a lot of places. I mean, even $10 or $15 an hour is nowhere near enough to make ends meet. It used to be back then, $15. When I was fighting for Fight for 15, to raise the minimum wage to $15 back in 2014, 15, like that made sense. But in 2025, that's not enough.
Right. Yeah. The wage gap is just getting bigger and bigger. Cost of living is going up with inflation.
Here's the fallacy. They'll make you think that that's just the way it is when we can clearly see that there's more billionaires, there's more millionaires, there's more people making, there's more. The stock market is doing fine.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people making tons of money off of our labor, and we're not sharing in that prosperity. There's plenty of prosperity. We're just not sharing in it.
Yeah. Resources are abundant. And if we wanted to kind of just shift a perspective a bit, we would be able to provide help and support for people. And if that was our goal, was to make people's lives easier rather than finding a way to make a profit or to make money on a situation or capitalizing on a situation. And that's the problem with capitalism, in my opinion, is money is the goal. Money is the tool and the goal.
Yeah.
And if you have the money, like if you have money as the tool and the goal, like it's kind of like a snake eating itself for, like it's a closed system that doesn't make sense. Like there's like, it's just, I wrote something or like a while ago, and one of the favorite lines from that piece was capitalism's main product is waste. And that's the thing, is like capitalism but does produce waste just as a byproduct, because their goal is make money, and at all costs, who cares if this product is actually necessary? We're going to convince people that they need it, even if it's wasteful and doesn't actually solve any problems other than we just got people to decide to spend money on it. Like all the Temu and shit like that too. Like the disposable
fast fashion.
Fast fashion. And just like I did a thing last year too, where it was just like how capitalism is, I kind of related it to the demise or the decline of the quality of bag chairs, like the camping chairs or whatever. Like those, I still have an original bag chair, like that, like from 15 years ago, and it's still in good shape. But like you can go to Mark's and you can get one for $5-10, and it'll and I have too. But like you expect it, if this lasts me a year, cool.
Yeah. I was just thinking that. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like that's the bag chair company's model is we'll make them cheaper, and we can sell more of them to make more money in the long run. Yeah. But really, what's better for the environment? What's better for our world? What's better for the consumer is a better quality product that can last you for years and years and years. It's then you're not taking that time manufacturing, so that people manufacturing that can do, make things that are more critical to helping people out. The bag chair is, I mean, it's going to last you longer, so you're not have to go buy a new one or whatever. And I don't know. And then just the resources, like that metal and the canvas that would be going towards that can be used to make something else more useful, like for people's lives. But if everything is made to be disposable, all we're doing is just making future trash, which is already a big problem.
You end up with Wall-E world, right? The mountains of trash and well, I think too it adds this like thin veneer of like middle class to what's otherwise not a middle class sort of cast of folks who are making ends meet. So you can maybe 15 years ago somebody couldn't afford the $30-40 chair that you still have. It's better to buy if you can afford it. But they can't afford the $5 or $10 chair at Mark's, but it is not the same quality and it's going to break down. Being poor is its own tax, right? Because you can afford some of these trappings that you can afford a TV that's only $150 now for a 45-inch TV, but it might not last you a couple of years instead of the TVs when I was a kid. I think my parents still have a TV, or my mom still has a TV they had when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
It's still... But, it's something you had to save up for. If you're in the middle class, you could probably more easily afford. So you have this thin veneer of prosperity that's masking the fact that folks can't afford their medications, right?
Yeah.
Or that there's $0 in the savings or retirement, or don't even know what a retirement account is. I've never even seen a 401k. More jobs today have no 401k or retirement planning associated with them, as opposed to any other time in American history, right? So it's fake.
Yeah. It's so I had an idea for something. I'm curious your thoughts on it. So on the topic of like I guess like slightly pivoting to like universal health care or whatever. What are your thoughts on a bill potentially where we use the tax dollars from cannabis to provide Ohioans with a universal health care, like a state universal health care, like starting a little smaller than, the federal, and then other states might be able to follow lead or whatever. I'm just curious, like, is that something that potentially could happen? Or
it's a funding source? Sure. I mean, you could do anything you want. Is it enough of a funding source? You'd have to pair it with other things, I think. But Currently, the bill that I introduced that would create a universal health care system for the state of Ohio uses a couple different mechanisms to pay for it. One of it is taking the money that employers would have been spending on health care and essentially increasing the employer tax to offset that. So like they're not going to be spending thousands of dollars per year on your health insurance. They'll instead send that money to the state government. They'll use it for a state insurance
makes
program.
A lot of sense too. Yeah.
So that's the primary funding mechanism. Also, I think it increases over a certain amount. Like, so you pay so much into Social Security, then you're capped. So it would essentially, match that cap on your Social Security. So you're paying a little bit of the system too, but nowhere near. And it's only after you've paid your Social Security. So a lot of people won't have to pay extra. It'll be only people that make more than the cap on Social Security. So it's like a couple $100,000 will be paying a little bit more. And actually, I think those two sources alone add up to the vast majority of what the system would cost. And it'll be immensely less expensive than the current system.
Nice.
Which, the current healthcare system is one of the most expensive in the world. We're not getting a very good rate of return on it. If it were a universal system, Medicare is one of the most actually efficient healthcare providers, health insurance providers in the entire world because of its scale and its size and its ability to negotiate on so many different levels. Mm-hmm. So I think we would match that level of efficiency. So there's ways to do it. I think cannabis might be a good way to look at it. I know that money is promised to a lot of locals, so I do have to put a little asterisk, because when I was on city council, one of the reasons we really advocated so hard, just because I believe primarily in just the decriminalization and getting folks that are in jail, getting their records expunged for these low-level marijuana-related crimes. They don't need to be.
Yeah.
That was a big motivator for me. But
and
for this,
Last Prisoner Project is a good nonprofit that kind of addresses that. It was I worked at a dispensary for 6 months, and that was one of the programs that we would ask customers if they wanted to round up, and there was a company price match, but it would go to the Last Prisoner Project for a little bit. But yeah, it's cool. It's to get people with nonviolent cannabis crimes out of jails and stuff like that.
I mean, it's a huge way to just get a lot of folks a brand new start. They shouldn't have been in the first place. We got bigger problems in this state than locking up people for having an ounce of weed, right, or less.
Yeah.
So that was a big reason I voted for it. But a lot of reason that a lot of communities across the state supported it was because of the local taxes that were going to come from dispensaries, which we're still waiting for, because in the state budget something I totally disagree with, I voted against, was putting a mechanism in there that allows for the collection of taxes on marijuana, but not the distribution. So the state's going to keep a piggy bank where they're going to hold that money, ransom essentially, so that they can get more support for basically rolling back some of the marijuana law that currently exists. It's a bad system. It's a bad way to do it, but that's what's happening right now. So want to make sure those communities that were promised that money get that money at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. And another, and the whole Ohio cannabis setup is so weird, for so many reasons. We just got pre-rolls yesterday, I guess. I don't know why that was delayed for over a year, but
rulemaking is another whole monster unto itself. So. But rules roll out after the law passes, and I think they're still ruling out different portions of the rules.
Mm-hmm. But then also, it feels like the fact that Ohio is the only state that sells in tenths of an ounce rather than eighths of an ounce.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like it was like a shrinkflation type thing where it just got customers used to paying more for less, because you're paying some of the best growers. I'll say they are some because I'm a medical card and I do enjoy my cannabis, but some of the best growers are charging $50 for a tenth of an ounce, and it's 2.83 grams versus an eighth of an ounce, which is 3.5 grams, and so to me. It's getting people used to paying that small, a lot of the normal price for a smaller amount of weed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
It's because there's no other reason to make it a tenth other than they say, oh, well, it was, the amount of days and we want to make it in tens or whatever. And it's just easier to divide. But still doesn't make any sense, because the rest of the world, the rest of the country,
they use eighths.
They use eighths.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's the stuff like that, like the policies like that are made by people that either have ulterior motives or just don't know what they're talking about. Either way, it's not what's best. It doesn't seem to be what's best. I would love to hear their argument for it, but it's who knows.
No, it's definitely what happens in Columbus. Even that was a ballot initiative that passed, but even at that, it was written by folks in the industry who obviously had a goal, and that goal is to make money. Sometimes that goal is aligned with the goals, in this case, it was aligned with the decriminalization goals, which is great, but sometimes those goals are counter to what is best for Ohio. And obviously, having a system that matches the rest of the world, at least the rest of the United States, would make a lot of sense. I could see why they would want to move to grams instead of ounces, but I don't think you can't push. But I could see why you'd want to do eighths. So that's something that, we haven't passed anything yet. So it's something that I'll take back certainly, and chat with our folks about as we get ready to reintroduce regulations and actually just push back against some of the Republican effort to really wind down the recreational marijuana.
Yeah, I've seen that they're wanting to reduce the amount you can have. They're wanting to reduce the percentage of concentrates that's allowed, and I don't know that
heavily regulate the THC drink, which I know is becoming a really popular thing, at least here in Northeast Ohio. I know a lot of bars are selling it. Yeah. Something I've been actually happy to see, because a lot of folks don't want to go out and drink, but maybe they'll go do something a little safer.
I'm one of those people. Yeah. I haven't drank alcohol since December, and so I'm California sober. So but like if I'm at a bar, I like to get a CBD drink or a THC drink.
So much more healthy, frankly, than drinking alcohol. I drink both. Like, I have no problem. And just the fact that they're relying a lot on these drinks to bring people back to bars after the pandemic, I think that's great.
Yeah.
More people going out, having a good time, spending money in the district, like the economy's going, that's great. To be able to kneecap them by carte blanche getting these drinks out of bars altogether, where folks already have to be 21. It's not like there's kids wandering in there trying, it doesn't make any sense. Why don't we just keep them in the bars, figure out some way to regulate them in grocery stores that everybody kind of agree with? We've got a couple of manufacturers of these. Platform Brewing kind of switched they sold off to Anheuser-Busch, and they're doing THC drinks here, and they're making them right here, right down the street, and they're employing 100 folks right from the community to make this. So it's great. I'm happy to see this industry coming, and I'm just really afraid, and I'm advocating very hard that we not kneecap it at this point, and we allow it to continue, because obviously people are getting a lot of value out of it, and it's adding a lot to our local economy.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess just to continue on cannabis, if I wanted to be able to speak or be more involved with speaking out against or for like federal legalization of cannabis, like what's something I could maybe do or help with, or do you have any ideas?
It's not something I'm super tied into. Like, I was never really involved in any of the community work around legalization. But there are groups that have worked here very hard on that. If I were you, I believe in the power. Maybe I'm an optimist. I believe in the power of citizenship and the fact that I can go and write a letter to my Congresswoman, Chantel Brown, here, and share my thoughts, or even request a meeting at her office. And you're not going to meet with her, but you'll meet with staff.
Sure.
And just the fact that you're there showing up and care, it does resonate, and you'll absolutely be added to the spreadsheet, and you'll be added to the logs that you were there. And if everybody were to do that about the issues they cared about, I think you would see a big sea shift. I think what we're fighting really is this apathy about not getting involved, not wanting to be involved, or feeling like the government isn't working for us. Because a lot of times it isn't. It's working for the lobbyists. But you can still lobby for yourself and the things you care about, and it does make a difference.
Mm-hmm. That makes,
Show up, write a letter.
Yeah.
I would just call her office and ask for a meeting. I want to meet because I'm really passionate about this specific issue. I want to share with you the reasons why. I'm just a citizen. I'm not even working with any group. Sometimes that's even more impactful than working with a group that's got a name and it's got lobbyists, because I take that serious. When somebody reaches out to me about an issue they care about, like I take that pretty seriously.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll definitely, I'll send a letter at least,
Yeah,
and
it's a good
we'll
start.
see where it goes.
Yeah.
Because I feel not like 100% apathy, but at the same time, like it does feel so disheartening sometimes to just feel like nobody actually cares. Like I was on unemployment for 6 months last year, and the path to getting on unemployment was so
And they're trying to make it harder.
it felt harder by design or by not caring. Like there were links on the website that didn't go anywhere. There were technical services, like trying to get a hold of people. I would be on hold for hours, and sometimes they would say, we'll call you back the next day, and then just I wouldn't hear anything for ever, and it was just like a whole bad bad situation. And it's just it gets frustrating to constantly feel like I need this, but I almost don't. I almost feel so dehumanized, so uncared for, that I want to give up, on that whole thing. And that's part of the design of it. Is like if we keep it hard to get on, less people will be on it, so we're saving money, in the long run.
It's
and
not even about saving money. I believe this. I think that yes, and
oh, improv.
yeah, and it's politics, improv, same difference. Less funny, more serious, more catastrophic. The business community that controls Columbus and Washington, like they very much are in control of the majority here in the state, and for the most part, they will dictate the agenda for a lot of things. Not to say that we won't have impact pushing back, and you should always call, and because sometimes you push back and they'll let some of their agenda go and they'll move on to other things. They'll drop the bill that wanted to kill unemployment, and they'll move to other things because people are pissed. Like, I don't want to touch this with them. So they'll tell the business community, let's do something else. But they're very much in control. And the reason they want that is because they want you to not have an employment. They want you to suffer. They want you to be broke, be poor, lose your everything, anything they can do, any tool they can use to push you into working for as little as possible, to make them as much money as possible. That's what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. It's not about spending money at the state level or local level. It's more about making sure that they're in charge and you're getting nothing if you're not. And even if you are, you're going to work for as little as possible so that they can increase their profit margin. So the next quarter's, stockholder meeting is going to go great. That's what it's all about. That's the end goal of all of this. And we're seeing more like regulatory capture. That's just, people in our regulatory space that are working for the companies they're supposed to be regulated. We're seeing more corporatocracy, corporations just really controlling the outcomes of both Congress and the State House. So it's sad, and I wish I could sit here and say, oh, actually, it's going a good direction. I want to give you some hope. But in that respect, like, it really is a system that's working against working people.
Yeah.
And it's perpetuated primarily by politicians and corporations that are working together or are the same thing.
Yeah, like to go back to medical, insurance seems like the inception of insurance in the very, very first steps was, my guess is to help people cover charges that they couldn't afford on their own or whatever. And so it's like kind of a collective pool to be able to help people. But it's turned into a money-making business into itself, where money is the priority rather than actually caring for the people, which is
correct.
The first. That's how the whole transaction was supposed to start.
Right.
And now we have healthcare publicly traded, and so it's beholden to shareholders. And so we're like, the insurance companies are taking money from people and pooling it or whatever, and it's that money's supposed to be distributed for healthcare in a perfect world, and money is not created or destroyed, like Newton's law. So the amount of money going in and the amount of money going out is unbalanced because there's got to be profit margins.
Cost of capital, right?
And so there's got to be profit margins for the shareholders and stuff like that. And so the fact that they just keep taking and taking and taking more, less money is going to the people to actually get care and stuff like that. And it's like turned into this whole, well, the bottom line is we're not profitable as an insurance company if we, do this. And it's like, what's the point of the insurance company then? Because like they're not providing any value. They're literally just taking money for the sake of taking money. And
Yeah.
it's a system that we've kind of just relied on and just accepted at face value without, like one of the things I hated when I was an engineer is going to a job site and hearing someone say, "Oh, it's just the way it is," or "That's the way it's always been." It's like, okay, it doesn't have to be though. Like
Right.
things can change. Anything that exists was created and is a construct. Everything in the world can be changed if it makes sense and if we talk about it and we figure it out and it makes sense to restructure these things for the good of everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
I'd approve that message. Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, I mean the terms that economists use would be cost of capital, meaning like there's this extraction of wealth that happens, and as our technology gets better, as like venture capital gets more aggressive, you're just seeing them getting better and better at like cutting the margins and really putting that profit motive takes over everything. And if there's a space that you like, I don't think anybody has a leg to stand on. That profit shouldn't be a motive. It's our healthcare, right? When collectively we're literally just trying to take care of each other.
yeah,
Like we're not trying to buy a car. You can make some argument that like, well, there should be competition in different markets to make things work better. I think we can have arguments there. I might not agree with capitalists there. However, like healthcare, it just seems mean and inhuman that we should put somebody's, profits or the next quarter's growth, next quarter's shareholder meetings ahead of, a senior citizen getting the treatment they need, or somebody being denied medicine because, if you really boil it down, it's just that they're saving a little bit of money by denying you medicine.
yeah,
Like, it's a ridiculous system that I don't believe, we have to get profit out. And that's why most of the developed world has moved towards a universal healthcare or federally supported healthcare system that either is directly administered by the government, or at least the healthcare portion of, or the health insurance portion of it, like Medicare is run by the government, removing that motive. And they work seamlessly.
yeah.
Big misnomer that these health systems around the world aren't well loved and working very well for the country. They have problems, as every institution does, but of course they need more support, as every institution does. But they're working much better than our healthcare system and much more efficiently.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, because they're all communicating with the same system and,
Yep.
with the same guidelines.
They have one. The goal isn't profit. It's not growth, eternal growth. It's literally just providing the services that people need on a daily basis.
Yeah. And when you provide that, you're also not tying health insurance to a job anymore, which gives people more flexibility to not feel trapped in a job that they hate, because like if you
But capitalism needs you to be trapped in a job you hate.
exactly, and that's part of the problem is just like it's all part of the same design to keep people apathetic to their situation. And like because I've had jobs where it just depressed me, and I couldn't keep doing that job, but I felt like I needed the insurance or whatever. Eventually I cut ties with that. And I, whatever, but I was lucky. I don't have a family that was relying on me and stuff like that. But like somebody that does have, like, let's say they're the sole income for the household and they got a couple kids and a wife, and if they don't have their job, they lose health insurance for everybody, and they lose their mortgage and blah,
It's
blah,
not
blah.
even about like having enough money saved for retirement. It's about like you need to be working in order for like everybody to be healthy in your family. And God, and heaven forbid, you have somebody who's chronically ill
Yeah.
in your family. That I have people that live in this district that have like, they've told me they're moving out of state to states that have better protections if any little thing changes where their kid can't get the medicine they need.
Yeah. And
Even though they're working people.
Yeah. And pre-existing conditions and stuff like that is like,
Yep.
it shouldn't, you shouldn't be not denied coverage just because you have a medical issue.
Yep.
Like we were born and like without any, it's not like we got to choose our characteristics when we were like babies or anything like
No.
that. It's like we're just humans. We're just trying to live. We're just trying to survive. And if our system, if our government doesn't provide the support, then what's it for?
Right.
You know, it's just like
Yeah.
it just feels like it's part of a malicious control. You know, like it's an oligarchy by the billionaires and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's hard not to, like, I'm still an optimist, like overall, like I really am, but it's just really difficult to just not understand where they get, like where people just lose complete connection to empathy for other people. And I think that's the thing that
Somewhere between the
needs
first and
to be
second
growing.
yacht, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
I really think that's truth. I think that people get greedy and like they caught up in this, pursuit, and they're caught in their little bubbles too, where they're surrounded by people that are doing fine, and I think it goes back to that thin veneer of like we're okay when we're not.
Yeah.
Right? And I think all of us are just one disaster, or I think to be a big disaster away from like losing our job, immediately losing our health care, and then that's a really like at that point you're this close to disaster. One little thing happens and you lose your house because you're in debt.
Yeah.
$10,000 of the local hospital, or $30,000 to the local hospital. So it's just absolutely. It is baffling that we haven't been able to, as a culture, like join the rest of the developed world. We're not talking about radical things here. We're talking about things that other countries have figured out a long time ago, and we're very much behind the ball. I'll give the example of my uncle who married a Dane, moved over. He's actually just a good friend of the family, not a real uncle. I know. I just want to be absolutely correct, but I consider him an uncle. They're excellent friends of our family. My parents go way back, high school with them. And married an exchange student, a Dane, moved to Denmark, from Lorraine, Ohio to Denmark, and Copenhagen. And unfortunately, he contracted Hodgkin's disease and passed away. But the day that he got his diagnosis, the law over there is that once you get the diagnosis, like work as long as you can. If you don't want to work, that's fine. You'll get 90% of your pay that day moving forward until you're well, and every health bill. So like my cousins and my aunt, they didn't even know the concept of like, what do you mean? Like, they're not like, I get a bill. I don't understand like getting a bill for that. Like, that's just part of our social contract.
Yeah.
They pay higher taxes, but like, this is the deal. Like, I don't have to worry about dad, and we have to, as the single breadwinner in her family, they're young kids at that point. Like, she didn't have to worry about taking care of like her family. Cause like, until she was able to go back to work, she worked at a bank. She did really well. They were taken care of because the government just knew that is what part of the deal of being a Dane was. You're going to be taken care of if a situation like that happens. And, both of my cousins now are actually, one is an energy trader and doing very well. The other, I forget, works somewhere around Copenhagen. He's a little bit younger, but they went to university for free, right? And now they're very productive members of society. They're upper echelon income earners, and, my aunt got to retire from the national bank there with a pension. And so when we take care of our own, our economy takes care of itself.
Yeah.
We don't need to be forcing people into like slave labor.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is, the wage slavery.
Yeah.
In order to make our system go around. However, if the rich can squeeze a dime out of it, they will. And that's why we have government in the first place. It's just a collective decision to hold people accountable and decide what is best for society as a whole. And, I think we're failing on a lot of that here in America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, I had a thought and it just flew away.
Oh, it's okay. I just talked a lot.
No, you're good. What was it? We're talking about
We talk about universal health care.
Universal
I just dropped
healthcare.
a bill yesterday. In fact, it actually protects, we're calling it the Family Act. Don't tell me what those it's an acronym, but don't ask me what they mean. The letters mean.
Okay.
And it actually protects pre-existing conditions in state law. So it takes some of the provisions of the Affordable Care Act and codifies them in state law, so that if the feds do, and I think they will eventually decide to do away with some more provisions of the ACA, at least will be protected under state law. Some more progressive states have done very similar things where they're afraid the feds are going to take away some of the protection. So basically, if you have health insurance, they can't drop you for pre-existing conditions, because I have a fear that if that provision goes away in ACA, that a lot of people lose their health care overnight,
Yeah.
and this would protect them from that. So
That's
we are trying to make good on that,
Yeah.
at least putting those bills forward so we can have the discussion.
Yeah, nice. So you were talking about universal Ohio healthcare bill that I love that I didn't know that and I just brought it up. But like,
Yeah.
so where is that as far as its status and everything?
We have a
like
lot of
right now?
support on our side of the aisle, which we're happy about. And right now, there's not much of a will in the majority for it. And we knew that going in. The whole point of putting these bills forward is so we have a centerpiece, something we can talk about and we can work towards. For me, and I think most people that think like us, I would say like rational human beings, it's not radical whatsoever. Because again, it's something that a lot of places in the world have already figured out. It's something we're doing for folks that are over the age 65.
And it might be cheaper than what people would be paying into work and everything like that, as far as
It
like
is
if you
cheaper.
balance
It's
it
not
with
even
the
a money.
taxes. Okay, yeah.
It just is a less expensive dollar for dollar way to do healthcare, because you're removing, like we talked about, cost of capital, and it's a more efficient system. Some of the pushback you might get would be like, oh, what happens to all these insurance jobs? There's thousands of insurance jobs here that would go away overnight. Well, actually, we provide, for anybody that's in the industry, we provide $60,000 per year. This is also, it's cheaper with this, by the way,
Oh,
even
wow.
with doing for several years while they're trained to be part of the Ohio healthcare system. So we'd offer an on-ramp, job opportunities galore for anybody that works in the industry to come work at the
Oh,
state. And if they need
and the,
training and things, we'll pay for 3 years, $60,000 a year for them
yeah.
as a salary to do that. So there's no missing. So we get it. It's a disruption to certain
Yeah.
industries that, frankly, are extractionary and probably shouldn't exist if we had a better system. And we're making sure that those folks are included. It's meant to be an inclusive process.
I love that, because you're addressing the issue of people losing their jobs,
Yeah.
and they have, even if it's not 100 like perfectly translatable to the new system, they at least have a good background that they can learn the new
Yeah.
system well, and be able to provide
And they'd be state
the
employees.
needed. Yeah.
And so you get the benefits, you'd get the OPRs, the public employee retirement benefits, which are like attractive. And I think that makes a big difference to folks.
I love that. So like, how could we get more support around an idea like that, I
I think
guess?
just talking about it like we're talking about it here today. SPAN Ohio, I think they just changed their name to Ohio Healthcare for All, I think, or something. They're a great group that is growing and have been really championing this for the last 30 years. They've been pushing for a universal healthcare option here in the state of Ohio. And I'm honored to be the one carrying this. This is a bill that was carried by my predecessor, who represented this district, Mike Skindle, for many years while he was in the legislature. So kind of picking up the reins, and we're adapted a little bit to be a little bit more inclusive, and modern, as other states are doing it. So we actually introduced this with 14 other states around the country, and had a big press conference with Rocon and a couple folks in DC to really talk about all the benefits of doing a universal healthcare system, as opposed to a piecemeal, rent-seeking system that just isn't working for the majority of Americans.
Yeah. So what's Rokon you mentioned there?
Rocon, he's a congressman.
Roy. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I didn't.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
he's the one that's kind of leading the charge on releasing the Epstein files, right?
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
he's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's big on universal health care, real progressive. That's fighting on a lot of different levels. So look forward to seeing what he'll kind of do here in the future.
Cool. That I'm very hopeful for that. I hope that we keep moving with that.
Yeah, all of it, even the Epstein stuff, because I think there'll be
Yeah.
a resolution in the state house here too to add to that effort here soon. But I won't get ahead of that. I won't get ahead of the people that are leading that. But I sign on to it.
Yeah. Awesome. And yeah, put some pressure on Les Wexner.
Yeah, right. We have to, it's just so hypocritical, right? What's going on in DC, and it's getting almost farcical. It is farcical at this point what they're willing to put up with in order to keep their little cabal going in the White House, and it's
Yeah.
just absolutely egregious.
I,
So
I saw yesterday the Epstein survivors spoke out, and they said that the survivors are making their own list, and they're going to release their own list.
good.
And Roy Khanna, is it Roy
I
or
think it's Roe.
Ro Khanna? So
Yeah.
yeah, he was talking with someone else, and they said if they release the list, they'll be sued to homelessness. So he said that he will read the list on Congress floor because it's got protections that you can't, like, if
Oh,
he
interesting.
says it on the floor. I just saw this morning, but
Yeah, good for him. That's the
so
kind of creativity like we need. It gives you a little bit of hope, you know. And again, this is somebody that isn't just doing it to, you know, uh, make a name for himself or to like get clicks. Who's actually like fighting for things like universal health care too. Like this is an
mhm.
actual progressive who is leaning into this as an opportunity to just do the right thing at the end of the day,
Yeah,
and really highlight the hypocrisy that is the Republican Party right now.
yeah. And I mean, while we're there, I I'm really interested in the topic of UFOs and everything
Yeah,
like that too. And to me, it feels like there could be. I don't mean to project anything, but I feel like there could be a connection between UFOs and the whole and like military industrial complex and billionaires retaining and maintaining power with that as one of their arms of
yeah,
control, but Medicare as being an arm of control, but like if they're losing their power with because like the Epstein stuff is going to pull the rug out from under them. Like I just wonder, like, is like if you I'm going in a lot of different directions here, so I hope that you're able to follow. Sorry,
yeah, yeah.
but
No, keep
so
going.
like if UFOs, let's hypothetically say UFOs exist. Let's say that the government has been suppressing this technology since like 1947, Roswell, or before, or or after, whenever. But let's say that they know that this technology exists and they've been reverse engineering it again, like for a while. And I've seen people talk about like the 0 point energy that would be required to run the UFOs and stuff like that. And if that technology exists, the reality is the oil companies do not want that to exist. So they're going to suppress that by any means necessary. And so I understand by like with these hypotheticals, I'm assuming something that's not confirmed to exist. So I'm not trying to say I believe in this 100%. Like take it for a grain of salt. But if it does, what's stopping them from doing this? Like there aren't any safeguards for the public because that all of that information is safeguarded. All that information is confidential, and but I've seen a lot more UFO talks and stuff happening lately, and I'm very hopeful and optimistic. And if an alien visitor, if the aliens are here, or if it's not even aliens, they're just like they've been here for thousands of years. I've seen that theory, whatever. I don't know, but I'm saying is, I still believe that they're not it's not like necessarily a malicious thing. Like too many government official or too many people that have talked about UFOs talk about, oh, I'm like they're gonna come and destroy, or whatever. Like just playing into the fear of it. But to me, if there's these aliens that have telepathic abilities and stuff like that, which is a whole thing that I believe might be suppressed by humans, like as far as like latent abilities that have been suppressed over
Hmm.
millennia. Just because I've been listening to a podcast called the Telepathy Tapes,
Okay.
and Kai Dickens talks about telepathy and nonverbal autistic kids, and kind of proves it through some of experiments and stuff. And they're making a documentary right
Interesting.
now. It's very, very interesting. Like even in animals, they've determined have telepathy, and it kind of shook shook my world when I listened to this podcast, because like it seems legit, and it's been talked about by other people, like comics and stuff that I like, bigger name comics and people that I like really respect, and like it just feels like there is a more of a momentum around that. So I guess to kind of consolidate my ideas and stuff here is like with like, I guess how do we deal with information in the age of misinformation,
Yeah.
and like for just no means other than just control, and
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like a fascinating topic. I mean, information and disinformation. It's for me, talking about like unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and versus alien. Like we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And I do believe there absolutely is evidence, and we saw this in 2017, the New York Times front page story about these UFOs, unidentified flying objects. We don't know where they're from. We don't know if it's alien technology, if it's technology from China or whatever, or if it's even U.S. military developed technology. We don't know what
Right.
it is. But there's obviously something there that the government's keeping from us for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And again, I'm an agnostic. I don't know what I don't know. I do love learning. I love listening to some of the same podcasts and fun things but we don't know what we don't know. And I think there's valid reasons and there's a good reason why we should continue to pursue like every avenue possible to try to uncover what is being hidden from us or what is being kept from us for whatever reasons. Probably we don't understand the reasons why they're not telling us either.
Right.
But there is plenty of evidence to say that there are things our government has hidden, whether they're secret spy plane programs that we've developed ourselves with technology that they're not, maybe they're afraid to release for whatever reason. I don't know. So I don't
Yeah.
know. So all of that does lead to distrust, which is bad. And I think that's what we're really dealing with today. I don't think it's just because of aliens or UFOs. I think it's more so because of this fight we're having between, people that want to lean into science and just believe what science has told us about vaccines or any other
Yeah.
myriad of topics that are in the news today. And then people that purposely sow disinformation or misinformation in order to further their political agenda or the ideological agenda,
Yeah.
which in that case is nearly always bad, if
Yeah.
not always bad.
And there's enough people that don't want to know a version of reality that conflicts with their idea of reality.
Right.
And that's part of it too, is they're willing and open to listen to that misinformation to, if it fits their worldview.
Right.
And it's upheld by religion and stuff like that, which is
In this
it's a whole
doctrine in the
other.
United States that goes back to Thomas Jefferson, I think, and like we are individuals, we have like the ability and we're smart enough to make like 100% of our own decisions, and we need the government to stay out of our personal bubble 100% of the time on every single level, until we need Medicare, until we need unemployment, until we need food stamps, until we want to use a road, until the government's good, it's not.
Yeah.
I think that's detrimental because, again, government is just us deciding together that these are the things that we should prioritize as a community. Oh, and if we pull our resources together, we can do this more efficiently.
Yeah.
Which government has been good at a lot of those things. Picking up your trash, for instance.
Yeah.
When we see those kinds of services, I was on city council, we see those services privatized in a lot of communities. The costs go up and the service levels go down. So privatization is a huge, again, wedge that's being driven between the people and their government as well.
Yeah. And I guess to me, it feels like the government it spends so much money on the military. Like it's a crazy amount on the military, and there's also so many contracts from the government to like Lockheed and places like that, like these privatized companies that also have potentially super super high technology stuff that we have no idea
Right.
about and stuff. And they like they can use that technology in whatever way they want, because they're the only ones that know it exists,
Right.
and they can use that to also maintain control of oil and stuff like that. And like wars are fought over oil, and oil's part of the energy sector, and
Yep.
so like the military and the oil are all tied in together. And so if they're both upholding each other, where are we gonna, like, as the rest of our general population, where are we gonna benefit from that, other than just more wars are gonna just keep happening because war is profitable? Like,
yeah.
and
you've seen the Defense Department. Trump wants to name it the War Department now.
I didn't
mean,
see that. No.
So it's like shameless, but it's kind of true, right? Like he's
It's
not
at least more honest. Yeah.
It's odd, like, and the DOJ just bought part of the mineral rights company, like, so it's a little more like, all right, we're doing this now. Like before we did it in secret, or we tried to put a veneer of like spreading democracy around the world while we're taking Kuwaiti oil or something, right? Now we're just like, fuck it, we're actually, I don't know if say the F word on your podcast.
No, you're good.
Okay. Fuck it. We're just gonna go out there,
Yeah.
we're gonna take shit, and we're not gonna pay for it, and we're just gonna like it's the art of the deal. I mean, this is the era. This is like the version of society that Trump's trying to shape here. And he's trying very hard to take over every institution he possibly can to leverage that, to really just ingratiate himself and make himself rich, ingratiate his friends, make them rich,
Yeah.
and create as much power so that he can make people love him.
And like he just, they have the Trump coin and everything,
Yep.
which basically, it's allowing bribes for that. You know,
yeah.
like anybody can.
He's
pay
very
into that.
overt about it. Just that, like, because he knows that this is if he's going to get away with it, it's going to have to be because he has some appearance of being above board with it. It's I didn't think we'd be living in like a version of idiocracy in my lifetime, but if you watch the movie, here we are, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot to take on, and it's an interesting time to be in government, certainly, when we're dealing with these headwinds.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense, some of the some of the directions that we've kind of had to go down, and had to like address, like the regression and everything.
Yep.
So there was a bill that you introduced last year, I believe it was, or maybe it was earlier this year. But I actually did a stand-up joke about it before you introduced it. It was the Conception Begins at Erection bill.
Yes.
And so it was first introduced in Georgia, right?
Sure. Yeah, somewhere down south. Yep.
And then so
Missouri,
I actually,
wasn't it?
Maybe it was Missouri. Yeah, maybe it was Missouri. I'd have to. It's been a bit since I've told the joke, but I told the joke, and it was like a couple weeks later you had introduced it. It was like, oh, that's awesome! Like, and did you guys see that the Mississippi State Senator introduced a bill the other day called the Conception Begins at Erection Act? This is real. You can look it up. Make it illegal to discharge genetic material without the intent to fertilize an embryo.
I'll go to jail.
Basically outlawing jerking off. I think they should do it, though. I think it'd be hilarious to see how they police it. They would, of course, have to have a task force to dig through the trash, find tissues, inspect the goo. Is it snot or splooge? They'd have to... they'd put alerts on your phone or laptop anytime you're looking at porn. Cops busting the door. I was just edging, I promise. But they don't believe you, so they sit in the corner and they watch you. Then you realize you're kind of into voyeurism. And it just makes you more excited, and that edging session turns into a seminal offense. And then they take you to jail, and that jerk-off turned into a bend over and cough. Is that still, like, where's that bill? Is that still...
We actually never introduced it, and it was intentional.
Okay.
We figured we got so much attention out of it, and the whole point was just to, call out the hypocrisy of,
Yeah.
of how we treat women's bodies as opposed to how we treat men's bodies, right?
Yeah.
And we we did really well in getting a lot of attention. So instead of introducing it and like opening ourselves up to like more negative feedback on it, we got so much positive attention that like, oh, this has actually achieved its goal. Because anything Democrats introduce in the House is just meant to be messaging for the most part if we don't have a Republican co-sponsor. So it achieved its goal. We didn't need to go through the process of like, introducing it and then it never getting a hearing, which is all that would have happened.
Sure. Okay. That's cool to know that like that part of it then.
Yeah, it got out like before we even did a press release. Like we never even did a press release on it. It was out there. Somebody had shared it, and then the Republican shared it. Then somebody else got a hold of it. The reporter got a hold of it. That's great. We won that. Those are the kind of conversations we need to have. That's the type of the stuff we need to be doing to call again. If there's a purpose, and the purpose was to say, hey, look, this is how you're treating women. What would it look like if you treated men the same way? And it's ridiculous, right? And the whole point is to look how freaking ridiculous this whole, anti-abortion or abortion movement has been, and how much we need to actually be anti-abortion movement, but how much we need to actually lean into, especially now, even though we've got this codified in our state constitution, abortion is protected, right? There's I think a half dozen bills now that are trying to ebb away that protection. They're trying to every way they can. And we have a Supreme Court in the state and federal Supreme Court that'll probably let them get away with it if they didn't think it was super unpopular. So we need to keep drumming the beat and making sure they know that they can't take away our rights, because they'll have people with pitchforks and torches out there, fighting for them. And that's what we have to do as a society across the board. We have to be out there fighting, because these institutions aren't going to be the bulwarks they used to be. In this new Trump and hopefully post-Trump era. We'll have to build that trust, to rebuild those institutions. But for now, it's just going to be us in the streets.
And that's the problem with with the Republican approach to everything, is they're causing these things that we do have to fight back against, which takes time away from things where we could actually be building infrastructure, building support systems, building things. Yeah. Like we're having to adjust our tactics, because otherwise it just doesn't make any sense to me that somebody else should be able to make a decision about someone else, someone else's body. It should be full stop, that simple. If your religion it doesn't allow you to have abortions, then don't have abortions, but don't impose that on someone else that believes differently. Like I grew up Catholic, and so in the church, like it was very, like I remember growing up and believing abortion's bad and everything. And it took me, going to college and getting introduced to new people and understanding different points of view, that there's like, that the whole thing, that people need that access, I guess.
Yeah. And there's no like overarching, I kind of bring it full circle when I think about it. There's no overarching societal harm. In fact, there's a benefit to having control over your reproductive health, essentially, as a person who can have a kid. Some people will throw the argument out there, well, then, like, shouldn't we have autonomy over not getting vaccines? Should we not have vaccine mandates? I'm like, well, actually, there's a huge societal impact when you don't have vaccine mandates, right? You're not just putting yourself at risk, you're putting your whole community at risk. And I think it's actually the inverse with abortion rights and reproductive care. Like, you're actually helping society when you're able to have the amount of children you want and want to take care of. And you're not overburdening a foster care system or an adoption care system. And you're not like how you don't have 15 kids that you didn't want to have because you're in a bad relationship or you were raped, heaven forbid.
Yeah.
Right?
Because some states don't even have exceptions for that.
And they don't want, and there's people in the House legislature that wouldn't want an exception for that. It's ridiculous. So, to me, it's about, what is ethically right, of course, and then also what is best and right for society as a whole, as long as you're not abridging somebody else's freedom to do it. And obviously giving somebody autonomy over their own body is protecting their freedom, like you said. And it's also protecting the whole, because you can have more control over, more control over your reproductive health and then your family unit, essentially.
Yeah, 100%. So when does the Ohio adopted the pornography ID ban, or whatever. Like, when does that go into effect?
Did we?
Know? Did we not? I thought it went into effect in sometime in September.
Okay, maybe we did. I don't know.
Okay.
I wouldn't have voted for it. I'm pretty like strong, and if it happened, it probably happened in the last GA, because I'm not aware of it happening. It might have been before I got to the General Assembly.
I need to look into it more, but I for some reason I thought it was
Unless it was in the
taken into
budget.
effect sometime. Maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in the budget. I voted against it, so I don't own any piece of that horrible budget. It's something that I'm not a big fan of. I don't think that, it's an industry that requires and needs to be regulated. But if you can just get a VPN to get around it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I've heard Republicans talking about, oh, well, we need to make sure that we put apps on people's phones that like monitors their activity. I'm like, so you're telling me about the government on your phone monitoring? Like,
that's the thing, is like it's just a step. It's just another step towards fascism. It feels like
what is pornography? Can you define that? Like, try to define that in the AI world. I think we probably do need to define like what it's not child porn anymore. It's actually like abusive material, or what there's a better name for it than that. So I don't want to minimize this horrific thing that people do. We need to figure out a definition so that we can target the folks that are perpetrating those heinous things on children and stop that absolutely. But then when it gets to an industry that needs to absolutely be regulated, how do we go about regulating in this new AI world, right? It's just, there's a lot of questions we need to answer before we get to limiting people's like free speech at the end of the day. And that's specifically referring to, regulated adult content that many of these sites put out there. So it's a big topic. It does need regulation. We do need to figure it out. I think we're taking a much more haphazard approach that could, at the day, end in people losing some of their free speech rights. And I don't like that.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. It just felt like intrusive, I guess, to require stuff like that. Because like the conversation is so like so many people don't want to have those real conversations with their kids, and so like they're like, I feel like this is a substitute. Is like, you don't have to have a conversation about porn with your kids or whatever, because like I feel like there's a way to approach the topic better than just
That's exactly right.
It's just like abstinence only education. Like, that doesn't work. Kids need to at least be educated to make their own better decisions.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
it's not, you're not stopping anything. Like, you're not doing anything.
They're gonna find a way around it.
You're ebbing away at our ability to control our own devices or our own you're making it harder for people to access the internet broadly. But the folks that want to get that material under it, they're gonna get they're gonna find it. Right? You're just creating these like hurdles to things you don't like.
It's just like the war.
You don't like porn, so you're gonna make it harder for the porn industry, and it's like, it's malicious. It's vindictive. It's just like appealing to, and you can do that if you want. Like, I'm not gonna really get too much in the way of you being really hard on an industry you don't like, I guess, because like I do believe in regulation in a lot of forms and ways. But when it infringes on people's like constitutionally protected rights to free speech, like I have a problem. And that's where I have a rub with some of what they're trying to do. Could we do it in a way that I might agree with it, where we can actually work with industry to figure out what the right parameters are to make sure that, kids aren't just hopping into it accidentally, rather than searching it out, getting a VPN, which you could easily do, and get around the protections in a heartbeat, from what I understand. So it's just not thoughtful. Because I know other states have done it. I know these bills have come up before, but I'd look into exactly what was done. If it was done, it was either done in the budget or before I got to the legislature. I wouldn't have voted for it on the floor.
I got you. Okay, I'd have to look into it more too. But yeah, it kind of feels like the same as like the war on drugs, like especially with cannabis.
It's bad. Like, there's drugs that are bad. There are penalties that should be, but are we just putting away black and brown people because we don't like them? Yeah, that's probably the impetus behind all of this.
Yeah.
How do we treat cocaine versus crack, right? Very different set of penalties, yet cocaine's actually more deadly and more potent than most of crack. So like it's we have to be incredibly intentional about
Yeah.
how we approach this stuff and not reactionary. And all of these laws tend to be extremely reactionary.
Yeah.
So
And the fact that weed is Schedule 1 federally means there's no medical research that's allowed to be done on it. And so for all this time, we could have been learning and understanding about the benefits of weed, because I've learned a lot. Like when I was working at the dispensary, like just our endocannabinoid system that is basically the foundation of every system in our bodies, like an immune system, respiratory system. The basic building blocks are the endocannabinoid system, and that can be supplemented with weed. It can also be supplemented with exercise. But the different terpenes, which are found in all plants, that's what gives them smell and all that stuff. Those specific terpenes have different effects on our bodies, and then the cannabinoids like CBD, CBG, CBN, CBC, they all have very specific effects on our body and everything. And to me, it's also the pharmaceutical industry that's been suppressing that, because weed and alcohol, which I have another thing I want to talk to you about alcohol, but
Sure.
they like, it feels like more people smoke weed, drink less alcohol, potentially.
yeah,
But also for pain relief, less painkillers and pain meds and stuff like that if you use weed. Or like it's beneficial for people that have cancer, like for their treatment and stuff like that. It's also better. It's more sustainable for making paper and stuff if we would lean into that rather than growing paper, because hemp grows so much quicker than trees and stuff. So there's all these industries that could be affected by it. Like our normal status quo could be upset, but if it's more sustainable for the future, why shouldn't we invest in this one plant that I believe has just so many health benefits and everything. Like
no,
it's
I'm a big fan of, especially like if we get in science involved, we can study it, we understand it, and we can figure out more uses and ways to, that's great. There's no downside in understanding it better. Obviously, I think why it hasn't happened. There's we have the pharmaceutical industry that has historically been very much against any type of home remedy for anything, because they'll supplant their some of their market, unfortunately. So not unfortunately, fortunately, but that's the reason why that they're unfortunately against. So that's what we're fighting against. I'm supportive of the efforts to create more streamlined regulation around our hemp industry here, to just allow it to exist and flourish without, while adhering to any other farming industry. Instead of pharmaceutical, they should be like in the same bucket as any type of agricultural operation and taxed as such, instead of under such tight scrutiny, so that we can actually, like at the end of the day, it comes down to like, this could be a huge industry for Ohio. This could be a lot of jobs. It could be, economy stimulating, if we figure out the right regulatory scheme to support it, and could generate taxes too, like you'd mentioned before. We could support things like better healthcare system with the tax revenues from these lucrative industries that could help a lot of people. So I'm fully supportive of all that. And again, there's a bill that'll hopefully be coming up here soon that'll again help to streamline, I think is how they're putting it, the hemp growing industry here, and it's very focused on making sure they're treated more like agriculture.
nice. I'm hopeful for that too. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so the thing about alcohol that I wanted to bring up, it occurred to me recently that and partially like from me distancing myself from alcohol, and it kind of has helped me take a different perspective or recognize it a little bit. And I also took a step back from football last year because I was just busy. I used to have Brown season tickets for several years. But the relationship between the alcohol industry and football, NFL, America's biggest, pastime. Like everybody loves football.
Right.
And even if you don't love football, it just seemed like so many people were just watching football every Sunday. and nothing wrong with it. I love watching football too. But I wonder, is it possible to potentially ban alcohol ads on TV? Because just like similar to what Stand did back in like the early 2000s with cigarette ads
Tobacco,
and
right.
stuff like that, tobacco. Because really, to me, it doesn't seem to make sense that let's say, I'll use like my buddies or whatever. They have 5-year-old kids,
Yeah.
and they're wanting to watch the Browns, and they want their kids, like they're excited. They're wearing the Browns jerseys too. They're excited to watch football, and so the 5-6-year-olds are watching football with their dad, and you got Bud Light ads,
Yeah.
you got Miller Light ads, you got Coors Light, you got all types of alcohol,
yeah.
you got White Claw, you got all those alcohol ads that are playing at 1 p.m. During the day, and the kid just wants to be able to watch football, and it's not like to me it just feels like it's for on the adult level, it's normalizing casual alcoholism, and this is and I don't mean it to sound like I think alcohol is bad, because I may pick up another beer in the future. I'm not saying
Sure.
that I believe alcohol is all bad, but I still recognize that the normalization of social drinking, like as an activity or whatever, and especially tying it with alcohol and bombarding ads on with football, it kind of becomes Pavlovian. Like, you watch football, you drink a beer. Like, I definitely fell into that like years ago. Like,
Yeah.
if I was watching football even by myself, I'm gonna drink a couple beers because that's what you do,
Yeah.
And then also the kids watching they're impressionable, and so a kid might be watching who's like, man, I can't wait until I'm 18, 19, 20, 21, of course, but like old enough to be with friends that are in college or whatever, and just like, I want to be able to drink beer and watch football. I can't wait until that day. And so it's almost like like not like it's like kind of ingraining, and like maybe grooming is too strong of a word, but it's almost feels like a grooming of that, like normalization of alcohol in a society that it I just wonder how much the ads bombarding people are really like holding that up. And
I would guess it's effective, or they wouldn't be spending billions of dollars on it, right?
yeah, but I guess my point is, like, the people that want to drink are going to be able to drink, and they should be able to drink safely. But like, what's the downside of getting those ads out of Ohio? Maybe some lost revenue, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm just curious of your thoughts on that. I didn't mean
Yeah.
to be so long winded on
No,
it.
no, no. I appreciate the kind of painting that picture. I think. Do you watch Kierkegaard, the YouTube channel?
Mm-mm.
They did a good video. They do like this infographic type, and they're really well researched videos on alcohol, and like I love them. I'm a visual learner.
What's it called? I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, I don't. It's a weird name. That's purposely a weird name. Kierkegaard, starts with a K. But try to spell it however you want, and then put it in the
I'll
machine.
find it in
You'll
Google.
find it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
It's purposely spelled weird, but it's an interesting video. It shows it just gets into like the amounts of deaths and disease caused by alcohol worldwide. It's absolutely staggering at how alcohol is just a huge drag on society broadly.
Yeah.
It's like not only accepted but like really marketed pretty heavily, right? So there might become a moment where society's had enough, and maybe there are cultures around the world who have actually gone to the gone and tried to ban or that'd be probably a good like thing to look into. Have other countries, other places actually gone to the extent of doing the same thing we've done with tobacco and rolling back on these ads? I don't know. I think that it's something worth looking into. I do know that, again, a lot of people are suffering with alcohol addiction, and I'm sure that there's probably even some research out there, I would imagine. If there's not, there should be, on like how much the marketing itself is leading to overuse or leading to bad outcomes. I'm sure there's some direct correlation there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know there was with like you'd mentioned, with the tobacco industry. So something worth looking at. Of course, you've got to weigh and balance all that with our our belief here, at least in this country. It's deeply held belief. It's the First Amendment, right? Of free speech and those, our ability to be able to advocate for whatever position we want. So it's something I really take seriously, maybe even more seriously than some of my colleagues on my side of the aisle, or certainly more so than those on the other side of the aisle, want to crack down on ban books and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Sure.
Is that we're a free society when it comes to press and what we want and to put out there, and we should have that ability. Should it come with some disclaimers? Probably, like we do with tobacco. And I think disinformation, too, when it comes to like vaccine, the thing should come with disclaimers, right? That this information is coming from XYZ source, so people know and can make decisions about their health in an informed fashion instead of in a misinformed fashion. So, I think that's probably the way to think about it, the way to go about it. But again, I lean pretty heavily on the First Amendment and making sure that folks, at the end of the day, we're always erring on the side of people have more freedom when it comes to expressing themselves. Should corporations have that same level of freedom to express themselves? I don't think so. I don't think that Citizens United was a good decision either about corporations getting more involved in politics and being able to buy essentially entire media markets and put misinformation out there about whatever cause they want. I think that's detrimental to democracy. So you've got that trade-off. You have that balance in there to get to perform. So yeah, we'd love to look more into it. I'm a drinker myself, so I don't want to be too hypocritical either.
Sure, yeah.
It's something that I enjoy going to the bar and having a beer with my friends, or even two.
Yeah.
It's not something that I see as super detrimental when done in moderation, but then a lot of people take it to the extreme. I think a lot of people are pushed by corporations to take it to an extreme. Even though, we drink responsibly, it's the end of every ad. I don't know how effective that is.
No, I don't. Yeah, I feel like it's tongue-in-cheek at that point. Because, like, you go, like, have you been to the Muni lot for any tailgates or anything? Like, my buddies and I, when we had Brown season tickets, we had a tailgating.
It's crazy.
We'd crack open a beer at 8 a.m.
Yeah, you've got a whole 12-pack now before you even get to the game.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing to do. And I'm and anybody that does that, like, please don't hear me wrong. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
I think you can do it in your 20s and get away with it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm 35 now, so I'm not.
Yeah, if you get your
not
30s, you're still
like
doing
that.
Like you might have a problem. That's my line in the sand.
Yeah.
I used to drink a lot more in my 20s, and I do not drink a lot anymore. I think that's most people, but there are millions of people that have a drinking problem, and it might not be super obvious even.
Yeah.
So I probably drank too much of the pandemic, frankly. I think it was with a lot of people who would get home or just be home. Like, I'm drinking a couple of beers tonight, and the next night, I'm drinking a switch to Red Claw or White Claw, right? Next night, switch to wine. At the end of the week, you're like, shit, I spent a lot of money on alcohol. Maybe I have a problem,
the money is a big thing, too. I've saved a lot of money since I stopped, Because I used to, I when I was drinking, I love craft beer. And so I'd go to one of the stores, get a mix and match, and I'd pay $30 for a 6-pack because I'm paying like $5-6 bottles and stuff like that. But I mean, and there are ways to not do that, but it's just, I don't know. I'm glad
there's a problem. You've identified a problem. The problem is there are many people dying, and it's a boon on our healthcare system and everything else to have so many people sick with alcohol addiction.
Mm-hmm.
How do we solve it? I don't know. I think that's an open question. I'm not a health expert either, but I'm open to learning more and figuring out what, as I move forward on my path here, it sounds to me like this, and it's probably this conversation, that video really got me thinking about that as a epidemic almost level problem.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look at that video. Yeah. That sounds really interesting, right up my alley for what I want to learn about. So that's cool. Let's see if there's anything else. So you're a fan of, I believe we talked about, you're like a fan of comedy and stuff too.
I like to laugh as much as the next guy. I don't know.
Yeah. So we can always circle back to some politics or whatever, but let's talk some comedy. Who do you have some favorite comedians or some favorite shows or anything that you
favorite comedians? I think it's probably controversial, but I don't care. I think Shane Gillis is hilarious. I think there's some I think we talked about him actually when you came to my coffee thing.
Yeah.
I think there's some problematic things that, like, you're normalizing some types of humor that punch down a little more than they should probably. But that style of humor, accessible humor, I think we need to embrace more of that good old folksy homeboy kind of humor. It's fun.
Yeah.
But aside from him, I don't know. I was a big fan of who was he here from Ohio? He lives in Yellow Springs still.
Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, I was a big fan of Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
What his stuff about he kind of went a little anti-trans. I didn't like that, kind of turned me off.
Yeah.
I up to that point, I loved his career and his trajectory, how he kind of said screw the man, did his own thing, came back, made this huge comeback, and then it turns out he has some I think kind of bigoted beliefs about trans people, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Even though he does point out a lot of great hypocrisy in our own system of government, how race has played this huge role, which he talks about very poignantly, even on Saturday Night Live, about how Trump rose to power when we've as a black person, he's like, well, we've always not been in power. What do you mean? You lost? We've always been. It's really interesting how he's been able to kind of center politics and kind of get away with it in his humor or bring it to a light. But then he made that and then he dug down too and doubled down. I don't know. What is your take on that? Because it's somebody I really looked up to until that point.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wow, God damn it! Here's somebody that I thought was super cool, and then he has these I believe kind of bigoted beliefs around trans people.
Yeah. It's tough because I still, as a comedian, he's still a great comedian.
Yeah.
I love his comedy, and it's difficult to 100% talk on the subject because I'm not a member of that community.
Sure.
But I also I hope I'm not stepping on anyone's toes. But I still like Dave Chappelle. I believe he's that specific opinion is bad. I don't know where, how he kind of I don't know. I just don't understand how he continues to double down on that and not because he can be so empathetic in other situations and just why is that the line? I guess I guess I'm trying to understand why is that the line that he draws that no, I don't want to understand this person.
Yeah. I understand the point he's making too, because when he did that, I want to understand why he's doing this. I really like him. I hope he doesn't really believe this, right? But the more I watch him, he kind of does believe it, and because I think he's comparing it to the African American experience, the Black experience in America, and the fact that you can't you can be trans. And a white, it's to be trans is to be also white somehow, which is not true either, because there's a lot of people that are Black that are also trans, right? Mm-hmm. And I think he kind of misses that in his glancing over the fact that this is rich white men playing as women, and it's just totally not the case. So these are women that are always women who are now finally feeling comfortable enough to embrace their own identity. He just doesn't seem to connect that in his head. And I just feel oh, why can't you? Because I want to like you. you know?
I guess to me, it felt like he also was turning the opinion on to himself. It's about how he felt. And so I guess I at least appreciated that because he wasn't
it's personal, right?
He wasn't speaking so broadly to say that this is the way that everyone should think. He was, and I'm not trying to defend him. I'm not trying to defend his beliefs, but I guess the impression I got was he's saying, I feel weird about people who are trans and this for these reasons.
Yeah.
And you can and should disagree with him, if
there's an honesty to it. I'll give him that. It's an honest. I think there's a lot of people, especially in the conservative world, that probably feel similar.
And they probably, and then other parts of the conservative, they hear that messaging and they hear what they want to hear.
Yeah. And that's my problem with Shane Gillis too, because they're gonna hear what they want to hear. It's gonna reinforce some of the things he jokes about, and they're purely jokes. I don't think he's malicious,
right?
But it's going to reinforce this ideology that I can't. We can't. It's going to head towards fascism in this country if we're not careful. And I
Yeah.
think we're getting there at a lot of levels with how our cities are getting taken over by, the military, which is like unfathomable. I didn't think that'd be happening in my lifetime either.
Yeah.
So when you have humor that's kind of like reinforcing anything to do with any of that ideology, it's funny, but it's hard to stomach.
Because there's a part of it that's just normalizing that behavior, and it's just like desensitizing people to
Desensitizing is a good word.
feeling like they can do anything, or like they can have any control or whatever in their own lives.
Should he have the right to say it? Should they have the right to get up there and give and be paid to do this work? Absolutely. Like 100%. If you want to be that way and you want to talk about anything you want to talk about, that's the beauty of our country too. We have to be able to support their freedom to say dumb shit, and we'll have to just like deal with it as a society, and hopefully these better, bigger ideas win at the end of the day. That to me, that's the beauty of our country. It's also like the thing that we have to always be wrestling with, the fact that even the people we don't like have the same rights that we have.
Yeah, they have the same rights, but I don't believe that their comments should hold the same weight.
That's a great point.
I saw a meme on Instagram, and it was very poignant about if it's raining outside and someone announces, it's not raining outside. It's raining outside, and another person says it's not raining outside. Are you going to give both of those statements equal weight? And even if you look outside and see it's raining,
Right.
like, are you going to still listen to the person that's saying it's not raining as much?
Right.
And there's a certain level of just accepted ignorance, I guess, by people, and they just don't want to grow, or they don't want to be told something that conflicts with their ideas,
Yeah.
and they don't want they don't want equal rights for everyone, because they might still believe in a zero-sum game where other people have to be have less than for them to be able to have
Right.
something. But that's not the way the world actually works. It's the way it's working because of capitalism, but it doesn't
Right.
have to be that way, because if you support, the support can be mutual, like mutual support. That's one of the things that improv is really like. I believed it before, but it's like giving me the confidence to really believe and trust in, like, just the support of other people is building on something, and we can build community around that mutual support. And something that benefits one person can benefit everyone and can benefit other people too. And but the capitalistic nature is a thing that benefits a corporation or one person or whatever. It's probably going to take away from other people, and that's just part of our system right now. And that's kind of the issue.
Do you think that, going back to comedy real quick, because I'm curious your opinion as a comedian or somebody that does comedy, I don't know how you term yourself.
Yeah.
But person of comedy.
Sure. Real quick to speak on that, it is kind of funny. I had a stand up on just a few days ago, and he's like, "So how long have you been doing comedy?" I was like, "Well, I've been doing improv." He's like, "But real comedy," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Improv is real comedy."
Yeah, good.
And he was joking.
Yeah.
But improv and sketch you are a comic, but when you say comic, I still tend to think of stand-up comic.
Yeah.
And I do some stand-up. I wouldn't call myself a stand-up yet, because I'm still
Okay.
but
You're an infant stand-up comedian. Okay.
yeah, but as
never seen
a
your show.
whole,
I have to
still a
see your show.
comic. Yeah.
So I guess I'd be curious your perspective on and this is big when all that stuff was happening with Dave Chappelle. Should comedy be sort of sacred? Should it be a space where you can push the boundaries of what's socially acceptable in any direction? Right? I'm not just talking about what's like politically respectful or PC or not PC, or should it be something that more or less follows whatever trends and to sort of be more within societal boundaries?
Oh man.
You didn't think you were going to get some big questions, did you?
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's tough because I do believe in like the sacred space of comedy because there are certain comics that I know, uh, like my parents, for example, would listen to and be like, I hate that. Like I hate like, but there are certain comics that I believe have a really unique way to show hypocrisy, in and almost in a way that you don't, if you're not paying attention, if you're not listening well
Yeah.
enough, you might think that they're giving the wrong statement.
Archie Bunker syndrome, like the whole like no, he's actually pointing out how you shouldn't be rather than pointing
I'm
out
not
how
familiar with Archie Bunker.
Oh, okay. It's the whole idea like he's this old white racist guy, but the point is like he's this old white racist guy on TV, his TV show like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And some people took be like, "Oh, he's so right. I love Archie. Like, we're on his team." Like, no, he's literally like he's the punching bag. He's the one that's showing you how not to be.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Very similar. But saying all that, there is a line that I still guess. I don't know how I feel about it because there was a comic that. So I work part time at Hilarities, and there was a comic that was in a few weeks ago. I forget his name because I didn't care to remember it. He basically did a full hour of stereotypes, and when I say a full hour of stereotypes, I'm like not hyperbole. Like all of his jokes were just making fun of people. Like it's like he just Wikipedia'd all the stereotypes and found a way to just put them all in there, and it was all hateful. And at a certain point, he even Barley, lay down, bud. But at a certain point, he even said he was talking about Trump, and he was like, "I don't even care if Trump is a pedophile. I'll still vote for him a third time." And I counted at least 3 people in the audience that clapped to that.
Yeah.
And if that's where their beliefs are, I just can't. I can't understand how they get there. I can't understand how like why. I don't know. My point of saying all of this is the content that he brought was just only hate and punching down, and I think that's the main thing that I try to pay attention to is like always punching up, never punching down. That's one of the core philosophies at Imposters Theater. Like Michael Bush runs a theater there that
you told me about it. Sounds cool.
It's so cool. Like go to shows there. Fridays and Saturdays, sometimes Sundays, classes there and everything. But like it's a safe place. Like he doesn't allow that like anything like people to feel unsafe there. Like it's very supportive and everything. But saying all that, like I just don't know how to deal with that constant punching down, because like ideally society would say I don't want to listen to that, and then that person would lose followers. But we are in a world where people do hateful comedy for the clicks, for the attention.
I think kind of touching back to this freedom of speech thing, like we have freedom of speech in public forum. We don't necessarily have to have, as a business owner, you don't have to support. I don't have to pay to go see that guy. Like I don't have to. Private media companies don't have to platform these people, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any free speech argument that works to say, oh, I deserve to be on the same, to have the same platform as somebody who is just sharing, cat videos that's not being offensive or is, generating revenue for that platform, or whatever the frick the platform would see the positive. Like, so I don't think there's any reason why organizations should take very hard lines on that type of speech, even though they have the full right to go stand on a sidewalk with a a megaphone and preach hate to a certain degree. There are some things that we have decided as a society that aren't going to be said publicly, and I support that. But
Yeah.
they should not necessarily, like you said, be given equal weight. So hilarity should probably, I would advocate that they, or at least hope they would consider. I won't advocate because I'll stay out of the realm of deciding who should decide what is free speech and what isn't, or what they're going to support, what not. But if I were them, I would deplatform those people that just punch down, right?
Yeah.
That cross that line. There's absolutely no value here. In fact, there might be an economic reason to do it too, because you're going to piss off more people than you're actually going to want to attract back. If I go to Hilarious, the first show I've seen in a long time, I'm not coming back. This place, screw this. Like, this is the kind of talent that they're pulling off the street that's just going to like make fun of people and just be racist all the time. Like, screw it. I'm not, spending money on that. Am I wasting an evening on that? I'm not coming back. So
Sure.
they should make better decisions as an organization about what they're going to platform, because they have a choice, and it's not anti-free speech to say that you get to be here and you don't because we don't agree with.
Yeah.
So I think that's fair, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was glad that he didn't do a full weekend. He was just the one night.
Yeah.
So I was.
You're pissing people off. Get the hell out of here. Like,
Yeah,
you
but-
don't have to. Yeah.
I don't know how they how they book and everything like that.
And I'm sure
but
people sneak by too, and like I'll give them a pass, I guess. But
I don't know. I mean, maybe they knew, but like who this guy is, and they're just catering to that audience.
Yeah.
And I love Hilarities, and I'm not speaking anything negative about it. But yeah, like those acts, I just don't understand. To kind
what
of
they're to your point, like there's 3 or 4 people that clapped. There's probably a lot more people that think it was funny that didn't want to clap either, like, or that think, oh yeah, no, I'm with him. I'm glad somebody thinks like I do. I'm not going to clap because I want to be, I want people to see. But you're seeing that group get a little more brazen and brave. And I had that experience. I'll share this story real quick, so I'm not taking too much of your time. But my grandfather, a big Trump supporter, he passed away. He's in his 90s, a couple of years ago. But one of the original OG Trumpers, right? And this is back in 2016 when Trump was running. 2015, even when Trump was running, he was on the Trump train, and I was on the Bernie Sanders train, man. I love
Same.
Bernie. I was working. I got a job with Bernie's campaign. And, it was during the primary, and I thought Trump didn't have a chance. I thought Bernie didn't really have a chance at the beginning, although his momentum was still growing. So at the end, I thought maybe we could do it. But at this moment, early on, I thought, oh, here's these 2 fledgling candidates. I told my grandpa, he's like, oh, you should come to the Trump one. I was like, I'll go to in the general, if Trump wins the primary, I'll go to a Trump rally. Like, that'll never happen. And if Bernie wins the primary, you got to come with me to a Bernie rally. And he's like, okay, I'll make that deal. I'm like, good. So I ended up going to a Trump rally. And I'm glad that I did to this day, because it was fascinating people watching.
Sure. Yeah.
I realized that the people there were all the parents of the Bernie supporters. Like, they're just pretty normal people that were just pissed off at the system for the most part. There's some crazies there. But there were some people that there was, at that point, very normal, very rank and file Republicans. I had Bernie stickers all over my car. I didn't even think about it. I didn't think I was going to like a cultural event. I thought I was just going to like a rally, like a political rally. It was a cultural event. There were people in the parking lot with like floats, and they were like selling T-shirts out of the back of their cars and bands, and it was like a whole thing. It was a movement. I'm like, holy fuck, this is not what I expected. Standing room only. My grandpa wanted to get there early, so we got there really early. I thought it was crazy. It was already full. We're in the top nosebleeds. People standing outside. Trump started 45 minutes early, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm seeing all that, and he's talking about like intercity product. He's not, the media picked up on the build the wall and stuff, and people cheered, but he's talking about some important issues about Akron, where we were. Afterwards, away home, I'm talking to my grandpa, and he's like, he's a big Christian too, huge like Glenn Beck guy, followed the whole moral like majority movement and all that, the silent majority movement. And he told me on the way back, like, hey, Trist, I know that he's a bad man, but I think he's who's God's going to use right now to make the change we need to make. As soon as he told me that he knew he was a bad man, like, my grandpa's not a dummy, right? Really sharp guy, got me into the internet back in the 90s because he was a big internet guy back then. He knew he was an evil person, but he's willing to vote for him. I called some of my political friends. I'm like, we're screwed. We're screwed. Like, they will vote for him. None of the stuff we're talking about, about Russia, the investigations, the the bribery, the fact he's a horrible, billionaire from New York. They don't give a shit about any of that. And I think that's what we're seeing today. They don't care that he's a pedophile. They don't. It doesn't matter to them.
I can't understand
It's a means to an end.
how it's gotten to that point. And I guess to the silver lining to Trump, if there is one, is he has brought all this stuff to the surface, and it sucks that it's gotten so bad. But the stuff that he has brought to the surface, all the corruption and everything, because he's fighting it, he's participated in it all these years.
He's in the inception of a lot of it.
And he's trying to get away with it, and I don't believe he's going to, because I believe truth to power and everything like that. I
think he'll get away with it.
You do?
I think the evil people just don't seem to die. Like, I mean, it's just they just keep living forever, man. I don't know how they do it. It's just like evil courses through their veins. They just keep going. Stalin never died. Mao Zedong never died. These people just never friggin' die, man. They're just gonna keep going, and there'll be no justice on this earth for Donald J. Trump. My hope is that we'll learn some lessons from this in time, that we're able to actually save what's left of our democracy.
I feel like the Epstein files are a way that we might get that justice, though, and I'm still optimistic about it. Because
I want to use every tool we have at this point to. I'm the only one in the state legislature calling for impeachment of Trump again, but because I don't care that it didn't work before. It needs to happen. If we're not all in unison asking to use every resource available to stop our country from heading this direction. Happens to be led by Trump. It's just again, I keep using the word egregious. It's just it's an affront and an assault on democracy itself, on top of all the things we hold dear in this country. So we'll keep fighting.
Yeah, we can't get to the point where we give up or where we just accept that. Yeah, well, this is just the way it is now, and we can't do anything about it.
But I'm over Trump getting punishment or something. I just think that rich billionaires tend to just keep living and being rich billionaires, and that just has to eventually we'll have somebody else as president, because nobody lives forever, and if we can just continue to not break ranks with our fellow progressives, and I think part of our problem on the left too is we tend to fight with each other on all kinds of different fronts. If we can find a more unified progressive front. Not even message, because I think we understand what needs to happen on an economic level here to change our society, but just kind of somehow join together more and more solidarity with, especially those folks that are still in unions too. We have 13-14% of the population in Ohio and the country, just about the same, are in unions. We have an organized workforce that should be fighting tooth and nail what's happening in DC. Because their bargaining rights are going to be one of the first things that goes here once we get into this, next era, whatever that's going to be, whether it's Trump 3 or whether it's going to be J.D. Vance, or in Ohio, Ramaswamy, who I'm really worried about, because he's gunning to get right to work moving. So it's very scary stuff.
Yeah, and to speak about the infighting, I guess, it's tough to have a consolidated message whenever there are so many distractions, so many different angles that we have to kind of defend ourselves against and everything. I went to the Bernie Moreno protest a couple weeks ago, and I went to a guy he was walking in, he's like, I got an extra ticket if anyone wants to go. I was like, I'll go. So I got to go in to the conference, or the whatever you want to call it, town hall or whatever. And he, Bernie deflected every question, and straight up lied a few times, and Cleveland.com or whatever the site was, called, addressed that, but he was in and out without having to really do anything like that. But my point in bringing this up is there were people outside on the sidewalk, part of the same protest, but the two of them were fighting, and I kind of stepped in, and I was just like, hey, just chill out. The one guy he was a little more amplified in his volume and approach, I guess, and the other person was a little more like join our group
Yeah.
or you're not part of our group. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Like, and it's like, okay, well, there's a middle ground that you guys you're not finding
Right.
here, and it's like we all want the same. We all want the same thing. We're here for the same reasons, but I don't know, like it's the I'm right and you're wrong mentality within it, and
Yeah.
it's a distraction. Also, is like it's just it's tough. It is tough to get consolidated on some of these things, but I think the main thing that I just always fall back on it or keeps me grounded is we're just humans. We're all
Yeah.
humans, and above all, before we're divided into countries, before we're divided into race, before we're divided into sexual orientation, before we're divided into gender, before we're divided into any of that shit, we were born as humans, and we should support each other as humans
Yeah.
who are still, you know, figuring this out. Nobody knows what life is. Or, nobody can agree on a definition of what God is. And like all these religions to me are saying the same thing, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter which religion you're part of. Like the exclusiveness of a religion being the right one or the wrong one is just such a negative mentality to take. Just because it just further divides people. And I, I don't know. Kurt Vonnegut is one of my favorite authors as well, and he talks about being a humanist and
Yeah.
everything. And I've kind of tried to adopt that because, like I said, I grew up Catholic. I was an atheist for a bit, but now I'm kind of more spiritual, where I recognize coincidences like that have happened, that even if it's not like I don't believe in like a God that's like an all-knowing being pulling strings, like a puppet master or anything like that, but I believe in God as like the energy that's like ever present, and that's supportive and constructive, creative, and just is, it's whatever it's part of everything. It's like it's consciousness. It's part of
Yeah.
like being aware, and like when you get into that flow state, and like you can be in that flow state in any specific thing you're doing. Like you can be in the flow
Yeah.
state when you're running. That's a runner's high. You can be in the flow state when you're writing. That's when you're just like the words
Yeah.
just fly right out. You can be in the flow state if you're giving a speech, because like
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
like you're tapped in.
Yeah.
You're not even thinking about what you say, but it comes out, and
Yeah.
whatever like that flow state or whatever, like that to me is what God is. And people come to that in different ways. Meditation can help you get to that state, and like prayer can help you get to that state, and community can help you get to that state, and practice can help you get to
Yeah.
that state. But the people that are trying to say, oh well, this is what you have to do, this is the only way, or this is the only thing, or you can't do this, you can't do that, or whatever, that is just the antithesis of the whole idea that like religion was supposed to be built for.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like it just doesn't make sense I was born in Ohio as a Catholic, and that's the right religion. So anybody that was born in Afghanistan or whatever, and has a different religion, that they're just doomed because by chance. That just doesn't sit right. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like the idea of hell and heaven, to me, those are existing here on earth. Like if you make a bunch of bad decisions, then you're going to be living in a state of hell. If you make good decisions, you could be living in a state of heaven. But it's just like those, I don't know. To me, that's kind of what it is.
Oh, yeah. I like the way you put that. Like there's a million things that could divide us, but like they don't have to. They shouldn't necessarily, because we're all living the same experience as human beings, and none of us know what's exactly right or wrong. All of us have to have some type of faith, in something, because we can't know everything, and we have to be some type of agnostic because we can't know everything, and we can't be. But to me, like, what needs to divide us is not what divides us, and what shouldn't be dividing us is dividing us, right? So what should divide us is the fact that there are a minority of people that are controlling us and are malicious towards the vast majority of us, right? And there should be this unifying, I think, idea that we, the proletariat, or the group of people that are actually creating the wealth of this country, aren't unified enough to really fight the folks, or at least hold accountable the folks that are extracting that wealth from us and really living high off of our labor. So I think there is a divide. There should be a group that is really angry about what's going on, and there should be some others, and those others have made themselves others by enriching themselves on our backs, right? And I think that's enough of a unifying force on our end to be able to set aside whatever differences we have, whether it be religion, race, citizenship status, to come together to try to fight for a more just and equitable society. So that's where I come down.
Yeah.
I don't believe the billionaires belong in our movement.
Right.
And you can't convince me that they should be here unless they're willing to, and to go back to religion, nobody should get to heaven if they have a giant amount of wealth. Are they willing to lay it down? I have seen some. I mean, you have the Ben and Jerry's guys, Ben Cohen, really out there fighting for Gaza and for justice, but they've already committed to give away all of their wealth before they die. Like, they're actually going through the process of shedding their wealth. So you have seen some people come to the light, I think, but there's a lot of work that has to be done in this country before we get to anywhere near. I think we have great examples in Canada. I'm going to UK tomorrow. We're going to look at their energy system. They have a nationalized grid, which is great, but they have a actually competitive generation market, which we're going to go look and share some ideas. Going over with some Republicans too to try to share some ideas about a better way to do an energy system. That's awesome. We have these models. We just need to be able to sort of emulate some of the things they've done in order to create a more, again, just, equitable United States.
Yeah, I'm glad you're going over there.
I'm excited about it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I hope it's a good trip.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see. It should be fun.
How long are you going to be over there?
A couple of days for work, and then I'm going to stay a couple extra days. My wife's coming over, and we're going to hang out a little bit in London on our own dime, just to kind of see some sights since I don't get over there too often.
Yeah, that's great. I get to spend a little bit of time in Utrecht in Netherlands for work, but then I had the weekends free, so I was able to hop around a little bit.
We'll have this intense work schedule over there, which is great because I love getting to experience all the things. I want to see all the things they're going to show us. So they're going to let us in behind the curtain. We're going to go see how they operate the grid. It's going to be great. And then we'll have a couple of days where we've got a hotel room that I got on points, which is great. God bless points.
Yeah.
And we're going to, because I wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise.
Yeah.
We're going to hang out in London, and my wife's big into F1 too, so she wants to go to the track and see that. So we're going to head up there, Silverstone. I'm excited. It should be fun.
Well,
I'll
cool.
let you know how it goes. But,
Yeah, for sure.
This has been fun too. I know we're about at time, but
I
thank
was
you
just
so
about
much
to wrap
for.
up.
Yeah, if you have any other follow up, anything else you need to hit before we.
Nope, all
wrap
good.
it
I was
up?
just about to wrap it up too. So
Perfect. Yeah, good timing because I got some things to do. But hey, I appreciate you taking the time. This has been fun.
Same. I appreciate you coming and being on the podcast.
I think I'm the fifth or sixth guest you've had, or do you have more episodes to post?
More episodes to post. Okay. You might be sixth, fifth or sixth. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Well, excited to be. I'm glad I'm at the inception of what's going to be the next Joe Rogan experience. But actually cool.
Thanks. Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's I just love long form conversation and connecting with people, and any way to do that. So.
Well, look forward to coming back someday.
And go ahead and plug your Instagram again, just so people have it.
Yeah, if you want to go to it's at TW Rader. You can always just Google Tristan Rader, Tristanrader. It's probably in the description, but. Follow me online if you want to see what we're up to. I'm actually really, really active on the internet because I feel like people need to see what their representatives are doing. So I post quite a lot about where I'm at and what's going on.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Tristan. And Again, I'm Brandon Shepner. You can follow the podcast at Buffoon Brandon Banter. Give us 5 stars, subscribe, tell your friends. Clip a piece of this if you like it and send it to me from the Pocket Cast app, and then maybe I'll make a clip of it. And I like to know what you guys are thinking. So again, thanks, Tristan.
Thank you.
Yeah, call it there.
Peace.